Our dining room has become more of an annex for the weaving studio. And because cats and weaving don't always play nice together, we put this screen door up kind of temporarily, just leaning into the opening to keep the cats out and keep them from causing mischief in there. And while we thought it was a temporary solution, we actually kind of like the looks of the screen door as opposed to a solid door. Makes it feel more like you're going out on a porch. So I'm actually going to build a screen door for this, but first I got to trim it out and get a door frame in there and deal with how you fit trim to the logs. So that'll be the biggest part of the video today, is dealing with all of the issues that the logs present to try and get trim boards up. With the log walls being considerably thicker than an ordinary house wall, I need to custom make the jamb for this. And that means I'm going to have to glue some stuff up. I don't have any nice boards that are wide enough to get this done. It's about 10 inches overall. So I'm going to rip the edge of this down with a track saw to create a clean joint for gluing. This is a little bit long to run through my smaller joiner. It'd be a little bit hard to keep from tipping up. And I get a much cleaner jointed edge with the track saw. It's really very good for this kind of work. And I'll glue up both sides of the jamb at the same time so I get 2 long boards. The seam in these will actually be covered up by the doorstop in the long run, so it's really hard to tell that this was a glue up. Once the glue's dry, I'm going to run them through the planer so I get a nice smooth flat surface on these. Only takes a few passes. This was nice flat lumber to start with. It's a clear fir, although looking at this I see a few knots in it, but there are very few knots. For the door stop, I'm using a 1x4 of the same clear fir, and I'm just putting a rounded edge on what will be the back side. The top of the door stop is mitered so that it can join with the top part of the stop, but on the header side of the door. That is just secured with glue covering that joint between the 2 boards. The top of the door jamb had a rabbet joint in it, and that way I've got an overlapping joint I can put some nails in. I go ahead and drill these first so I don't split anything out. I'm right at the edge of this, and I don't want to start splitting boards out. I find it much more reliable to drill a little pilot hole to at least start the nail. Now to keep all this parallel while I do the install, I will cut a little spacer board, and it's just going to get nailed in the face of it down at the bottom, and that'll hold everything parallel and square. But since I'm building this in the basement wood shop, I've got to carry it up the stairs, and well, it's kind of awkward to get it up the stairs all assembled. It's still much easier than building the thing upstairs in the living room. And of course now we get to see if it fits. And luckily it does. I did make it a little undersized so I could shim it as needed to make sure everything is nice and plumb on the jamb. Door openings are not always perfectly plumb, especially in a log house where things are cut out with a chainsaw when the place is built. There's an amazing amount of this stuff that I still have to do in this house. I've really let it go trying to do other things. But unfortunately, the work in the blacksmith shop still takes precedent, so I still need to be working up there, making the videos on the Black Bear Forge channel, doing this stuff as I find the time. By doing these videos over here on the John Switzer channel, it does give me a little bit more incentive to get some of this work done, and I've really enjoyed getting more of this done. Having the wood shop more functional also helps. The addition of the new tools last year has really made a big difference. I'm just cutting material that will be the door casing. Again, it's more of the clear fir. This is a 6-inch wide board. I'll line one of these boards up with the door jamb and use it to mark the logs. Then I have to figure out how deep to cut each of these log notches. Every log is a little bit different diameter, so they're all different. Some of these need a pretty substantial notch, and some of them barely need to be notched at all, and even a few of them don't have to be notched. This is all very much custom fit to each side of the opening, and every opening is going to be done just a little bit different. I've done some of these with this little chainsaw, sometimes a circular saw, and sometimes an oscillating multi-tool with a wood cutting blade. They all work. I don't like any of them better than the others. It just sort of depends on the mood I'm in at the time. But a lot of the work is then done with a chisel. Now I'll cut the final length once I can get it tight in there and make sure I've got a good measurement for the height. In one of these, unfortunately, we got to cut around an outlet. We got the outlet fairly close to the door, so I've got to get in there and mark that and go ahead and cut this around the outlet. And it required some filler in the back. I don't show any of the filler material going in this, but I just had to cut a little piece that filled in right next to the outlet so there wasn't a big gap in there. This is a good time to thank everybody for watching. In particular, I would like to thank my channel members and my Patreon patrons. Channel members receive early access to the videos, and Patreon patrons not only receive early access, they receive the videos ad-free. And those are the videos for both this channel, John Switzer, and for the Black Bear Forge channel. So you get the woodworking and the blacksmithing. So if you're tired of the annoying ads on YouTube, you might want to check out Patreon. Now you can notice here that I accidentally got a nail at too steep of an angle and it came out the side. Ultimately, I'll cut that off with a Dremel and a little abrasive disc and then fill the hole. Luckily, it's on the hinge side of the door, so it will almost never be seen. The last bit of trim that needs to be done is this very top section. It takes a lot of fiddling to get that flat and even, but a little bit of persistence and it can be done. Again, I drill a little pilot hole in the board before I put the nails in. Then I come back with a nail set and set all the nail heads below the surface. Well, hopefully that gives you some sort of an idea of what it takes to do the trim and the doors and the windows in this house. There are probably easier ways to approach the trim in a log building, but this is the way we started out, so that's what I'm going to keep going with. And I really do like the way this comes out. Now, if you'd like to see more about the screen door itself, I'll link to that video down here, and if you want to see the forged hinges, I'll link to that video down here. But in any case, thanks for stopping by to watch. We'll see you for the next video.